everyone. Today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Maddie Wiggins. Simply put, Maddie is wonderful. She's positive and encouraging, hardworking and driven, and overall a joy to love and know. Maddie works as my intern in the chapel office, but over the last year, I've gotten to know her so much more than that, and she has truly become a great friend. In a few moments, you'll hear her story about how her faith has been tried and tested the past couple of years, but how she's been able to love and serve God through it all, no matter the circumstances. I'm so glad that you get to hear from my friend Maddie.
Good morning, Gordon. As Laura said, my name is Maddie Wiggins, and I am a senior psychology major at Gordon. I am going to share my testimony with you, and to start, I'd like to read you a journal entry that I wrote, which should help give some context to the rest of my story. November 20th, 2016. Today at church, we sang a song talking about following where you lead. When I sang that, I hesitated and realized I usually say I'll follow where you lead, but then I enter the condition of only when my plans align with yours. But that's not how following your leading works. Am I ready to let go of my plan and trust fully that the plan you have is the best, fully good and perfect plan? Am I ready to follow where you lead without reservations, without 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and special conditions made before following? God, I want to follow you unconditionally, but I want to be healed and really want to go back to school in January. I'm worried that you may have a different plan. You are all powerful and you know me better than I do. You know what is wrong with my health. Please help me to fully trust you with open hands. If going back in January isn't your plan, please prepare me and remind me that you are in complete control and what you plan and allow is good. Where you lead, I will follow. That was my second semester home from Gordon on medical leave. The doctors had no idea what was wrong. They had thrown numerous medications at me over the course of that year. Right before writing that journal entry, I had completed chemotherapy treatments and was worse off than when I had started them. I was at a place of wrestling with God regarding my plans versus His, and trusting that His plans are superior and that He actually knows better than I do. I would love to tell you that after that day, I wholeheartedly trusted in God's plans and timing. However, it is a continual daily struggle of acknowledging my own weaknesses and submitting to His sovereign plans. When I was writing that journal entry, I had no idea what the future would hold. I was living each day, all day, writhing in pain, searching for anything and everything to make it stop. I was self-medicating with sleep medications to try and get to sleep each night, and I had been prescribed so many medications that I lost track of how many, all of which came with their own abundance of horrible side effects. I was taking classes online and wondering if I would ever get back to Gordon. I was unable to eat most foods because all of the medications I had been prescribed had wrecked my gut. And yet I wrote that journal entry. The future was full of unknowns and lacking hope, and yet I knew that my only option was to trust that God had a plan and that my suffering was not in vain. To trust that what eventually turned into 3 semesters off from school had a purpose. I'd like to share with you a verse that I wrestled with throughout my time away from Gordon. 2 Corinthians 4:16-18. Therefore, we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. To be honest, I hated that scripture passage. I would read it and yell at God, "You must not fully understand what I am going through. Otherwise, you wouldn't dare call what I am going through light and momentary." However, in January of 2017, just 2 months after writing that journal entry, I stayed home for a 3rd semester on medical leave from Gordon. And I attended a pain rehab clinic at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. It was there that the first day of the month-long program, which was the worst, yet best month of my life, there my eyes were open to the reality of that passage. I had been reading that passage looking only at the present moment while disregarding the eternal promises and getting rather annoyed at the terminology Paul used. However, that first day in the program, I sat in a room full of other young adults who were suffering from chronic pain and illness, and many of whom had attempted suicide. That day, we were being taught to grieve our old normal and to accept our new normal. In that process, we were told by the doctors that the majority of us, if not all of us, would be sick for the rest of our lives. It was in that moment that I realized, wait, I'm only going to be sick for the rest of my earthly life, which doesn't even compare to what it will be like in eternity with my new body. What Paul had written in 2 Corinthians finally clicked. I'm thankful that God gave me the gift of that perspective change, because when I was able to stop dwelling on the present moment of suffering and take the blinders off my own agenda and think eternally, I was also able to trust him more freely and open my hands from the death grip with which I was holding on to my own plans. Today, I would like to affirm that what you are going through is not nothing or minuscule. I would like to offer you a perspective change. Although what you may be going through now or will go through in the future is at times unbearable, there is hope because Christ is returning and will remove us from all suffering, pain, and death. Jesus said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." I had a completely different plan for my life than what reality became. I had grown up picturing my life as the following: complete undergrad in 4 years, go right into grad school, after 2 years, graduate, become an occupational therapist, and somewhere in there, meet my spouse. Let me just clarify. Reality has not turned out that way for me. My reality has been filled with suffering and challenges I didn't ask for. And yet, alongside those difficulties, also came friendships and knowledge that I didn't know I needed. I didn't realize how much they would add to my life and my relationship with God. I'm excited to say that I am at a place where I'm thankful for my suffering. That doesn't lessen the pain I experienced, but it acknowledges that in my suffering is where I've grown in my relationship with the Lord. Met people during my time away from Gordon that I otherwise would never have met, and learned to experience things that one day will help me become an even better occupational therapist. Seeing how God is using what I went through to encourage others and prepare me for what He has planned next has allowed trusting God's plans over my life to become a source of freedom and joy. Amidst the uncertainties and sicknesses that our world is currently facing, it is my hope and prayer that you would continue to trust the Lord's leading, His faithfulness and precision and will for your life. For He is good and He is with you right now, right where you are. I would like to close by reading to you a quote from John Piper that I clung to throughout my years of suffering and still find hope and truth in. Not only is all of your affliction momentary, not only is all of your affliction light in comparison to eternity and the glory there, but all of it is totally meaningful. Every millisecond of your pain from the fallen nature or fallen man, every millisecond of your misery in the path of obedience is producing a peculiar glory that you will get because of that. If it was cancer or criticism, slander or sickness, it wasn't meaningless. It's doing something. Of course you can't see what it's doing. Don't look to what is seen and say it's meaningless. It's not. It's working for you an eternal weight of glory. Therefore, do not lose heart, but take these truths and day by day focus on them. Preach them to yourself every morning. Get alone with God and preach His word into your mind until your heart sings with confidence that you are new and cared for every day.
Most often, when we introduce someone who is about to speak, we mention that person's accomplishments and their accolades, and I could easily do that here today in this situation. But instead, I'd like to mention 3 things that I think are really important markers of success. And those things are loving God, loving others, and making disciples. And in those 3 areas, Darius Vaughn is winning. He loves the Lord deeply and he loves others so well. And for those reasons, you should listen to him today. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, a man who honestly needs no introduction, our friend, Darius Vaughn.
Oh, what's up, family? Gordon College Stan up? What's happening? Yo, my name is Darius Vaughn. For those of you guys who don't know me, I love God, I love people, and I love life, man. Yo, first I want to start off by shouting out Bob Whitted, the best chaplain in the land, baby. I love you, man. I want to shout out the leadership of this college, President Lindsay and the administration. We love you. I love you. The chapel team, thank you so much. I love you guys. Everybody in student life, you guys are dope. Thank you. Yo, guys, I'm excited. I'm here to share my experience with you. And I believe things that God has given me and shown me throughout my life. And I want to just give that stuff to you. Some stuff that I've learned recently in the past couple years. All right, y'all ready for this, man? All right, let's do it. So there's 6 things, guys. All right. Number 1, you ready for this? All right. You have a purpose, homie or woman of God or child of God. You have a purpose. So many of you guys probably know what your purpose is or have an inclination of what that is. And yo, congratulations. That is amazing. That is so dope. However, I found that a number of us also maybe have no idea of what our purpose is, or we may not even have an idea of what it is. And I want to tell you, you have probably heard this, that is okay, right? I believe that God is going to reveal to you the purpose and mission for your life that he has. He will. But let me throw something a little different at you real quick. Maybe God has already revealed to you or shown you your purpose or that mission that he has for your life previously in your life. You know, I think about instances and times in my life where I look back on it, and especially in moments where I'm trying to figure out, well, God, where should I go? How should I move? What is my purpose, right? And I have moments where I look back and I see that, man, this was a moment where I was truly functioning in my purpose, right? And what does that moment feel like? I would say that moment is a time where, of course, you're joyful, you're happy, but you are moving with a purpose, but you're also using a gift of yours to serve people, and it's blessing people. You know, I want to encourage you guys to look back on that, and I think about times, and one time was even my freshman year. I was blessed with an opportunity to speak and preach at a church. Thank you, Gigi. You know who you are. Turn up. And it was an amazing time, but I think about moments like that, and I'm like, wow, God, you showed me what your blueprint is for my life. And you know what? Let me pursue that confidently and boldly. All right. Number 2, live intentionally and intensely. You're like, D, did you just say intense? Did you just tell me to be extra? Yes, but let me tell you, I found that in my life, when I've made the decision to make decisions and choices and take actions to go about doing relationships and doing my work, my school work, or even going about having an occupation, whatever that is, going about doing those things with intention, I have found that my life has more fulfillment, right? And especially because I seek to live my life for God, I need to do all those things. I need to seek after him. I need to worship all those things with an intention to glorify him. But intensely, you ask me why? What do you mean by intense, right? Well, I found too that it's important for us to live our life with urgency. And this urgency has to do with the fact that God has called us to something great now. Yes, God has plans for us. He is orchestrating our lives for the future, but God doesn't just have plans for us, or he's not just calling us to something 4 years out of college, right? Or after college, right? Or 15 years down the road. God is calling you and me to something great now. And so I encourage you to be about it. Number 3, say it with me. Just do it. Yo. If you have some Nike gear on or Nike symbol or logo, whatever, go ahead and flaunt it real quick right now. Ching. Yo, just do it. Listen, do not allow your fears and your overthinking to stop you from moving in your God-given purpose and calling. See, I have found that overthinking can be a crippling power to you pursuing God's dreams for your lives and his purpose for your lives. Guys, I personally struggled with overthinking in my life. And it is something that has stopped me from moving and from doing different things and from being in my head instead of focusing on God. And that has also stopped me in a lot of different places. And I've struggled with that. But I thank God for his help and for his grace in my life and for his purpose to help me get out of that. And I have a cool guide to help us with that shortly. Number 4, comparison kills. I don't know if you guys have heard of the artist. He's a gospel artist. He's really, really good, man. But his name is Jonathan McReynolds. You should look him up. But he has a song called Comparison Kills. I know you guys have probably heard of this message, heard someone speak on this in some fashion, in some way. But what does comparison kill exactly? Well, I would say that when I have found myself personally, guys, in comparison, which I have in the past couple of years, I was spending more time doing that and wasting time not pursuing God's mission for me. Comparison can cause you to lose sight of where God's desires for you are because you are trying to pursue after a purpose that was not intended for you. Think about that, guys. And I have found that for myself. When you're in those situations, guys, it's human, right? I don't think it's something that we should get down on ourselves for completely. However, when you find yourself in that moment, stop yourself and realize, wow, God has a specific mission for me. I need to focus on that. Because when you're spending that time comparing, and I've noticed that for me, guys, when I've gotten out of that comparison, I've been able to have clarity about where God wants for me to go. And I believe that that's the case for you guys, all right? So focus on what God has for you in your life now, not on what other people are doing on Instagram, what other people, are doing in their lives in a different place. Because your life is not only your life, but God has a specific and unique thing and purpose for your life. All right. Yo, what are we on? 5. I would say this is a quick guide to overcoming your overthinking of God's will in your life and anxiety about making decisions. Guys, I have gone through this. Again, like I said, overthinking has been something that I have struggled with. And one of the ways that it has manifested in my life is in making decisions, right? I would overthink and I would ponder and sift through a bunch of thoughts in my head about the right decision to make and the godly decision to make. I would spend so much time doing that I would end up not even doing anything, right? I spent so much time doing that. And some people call it, paralysis by analysis. But I want to tell you guys one thing that God showed me that has helped me tremendously. Psalm 37:5. Actually 4. Psalm 37:4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." We believe, or I would say oftentimes I've heard people believe this verse to be saying that God will give you the desires. Like God is going to give me that Chick-fil-A #1 with bacon and cheese and extra Chick-fil-A sauce and a large fry. My bad. Quarantine, I haven't been able to have Chick-fil-A. But that God will give you whatever desires you want. But that's not the case. What this verse is saying is that God will, as you are faithful to him and grow in discipleship and in your relationship with him, he will reveal to you and give you what to desire. Isn't that powerful? God will give you the things to desire because as you're in relationship with him, your desires become, or God's desires become your desires. All right. And so guys, don't fret, don't have anxiety or know that there is an answer to the anxiety about the future or whatever decisions you're making. And I know there are big ones in college as young adults in our 20s and or even as someone that's just now coming into college. There's so much to do, but God will give you the right desires for your life. Guys, in number 6, I would say, focus on your response, man. God is looking at how you respond to the situations in your life. I found this to be so imperative for me, guys, in the past couple years. But how I respond to the situation in my life, the issues, the Whether that, guys, for you may be betrayal by friends and people, whether that may be a bad grade on a test or exam, or whether that may be heartache from loss, or anything in your life in these situations, ails like losses that you take. The most important thing, and this will be the predetermining factor for so much of what you go through after that in your life, is your response, man. Never give power to the issues you endure, but focus on your response. Your response to your experiences can shape your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual future. Think about that. So focus on your response, man. Last thing, guys, I would just love to give some encouragement to my seniors. Stand up, class of 2020, and all those just for the future ahead. I know with quarantine, it's been crazy, but I believe this verse has helped me. Proverbs 3:5-6, it says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. But in all of your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. I love you guys. I'm so excited and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to share with you. I love you. I love the Lord and he loves you. Deuces.